Alrighty, let's get started. So welcome everybody, good morning. My name is Linda Kozitzky. I'm a member here at the UUFP, and I will be your Sunday service facilitator. And I use that word facilitator. We'll come back to that, but I am the facilitator for today. And I send out a welcome to you, old friends and new, young and old. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. So now's the time for announcements. Are there any announcements? No. Did you conclude it?
I grew up around New York City, so I have sharp elbows. Played basketball in New York, you got sharp elbows a little bit, you kind of push people away. So two announcements. One is that we have a plethora, we have a gigantic amount of food left over from the renters yesterday, as you will see when we have coffee hour. So we will encourage you when we're finished eating to take things home, and they can't sit here. Some are perishable. Just please, as you eat, graze, consider what you can harvest before you leave. The second thing is we're using the battery powered mic here, because if I turn this mic on back here, it didn't do it. Closing, right? So I can leave it on and drive crazy, but I won't do that. So you can use the battery powered mic if anyone needs it for all ages. Please take it and do your thing, and be careful because it's nestled here. It's not meant to fit here. So please do not adjust and touch it too much. It'll make you dive.
Good morning. I'm Miranda, and I have a list here. This is a list of things that you can donate to the Pottstown cluster. I make a trip to the cluster once a month, and there's a great big basket out by the kitchen door, and you can just put all your donations in there. And it's just such a joy here. People love to put things in that basket, and I love taking them to them. Here are all of the things they have on the list right now. Online, you can go to the website and you can double check it, but right now, this is what they need. Toilet paper, paper towels, trash bags, trash cans, linens, twin and feed sets, bath towels and washcloth, laundry detergent, dish soap, dish towels, cleaning supplies, pots and cans and utensils, brooms, dust pans, mop buckets. In the food pantry, they need pancake syrup, shelf-stable milk, ramen, and pasta, chili, pork and beans, baking goods, bottled juice, chicken dumplings, macaroni and cheese, green beans, and canned corn. And I will leave this list taped just above the basket so you can see that.
You know the difference, the sheets and how they're made.
Brand new.
Brand
new. Yeah, no reviews.
Serving off the Costco, as
Yeah.
I said.
I just have some slight reviews.
Good morning, I'm Monica. I am going to be planning a bonfire in November, early November. So if anyone wants to help me plan that, come see me. Awesome.
Morning, I'm Valerie. This is just a sort of series of recurring announcements. My announcements as RA committee chair, we are still looking for a nursery teacher and an Amber's teacher. Please spread the word. If you would like to help out in the meantime, you just need clearances and you can come talk to me about that. It's super easy. And then my other recurring announcement is that I am organizing a holiday craft raffle as a fundraiser for the church. I am asking for donations throughout the month of October. If you are a crafter or artist of any kind and you would like to contribute to something for the raffle, I would love to take that off your hands. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Gravel, happened.
Okay, so I'm going to start displaying the items the first Sunday in November. They will be on display for, I think, 5 or 6 Sundays. And I will also start selling raffle tickets at that time, like every Sunday. There will be little jars in front of like every item that has been donated, and then you can just put your tickets in whatever jar that you hope to win. You can spread your tickets around, put them all in one jar, whatever you want to do. And then on December 15th, we will hold the actual raffle.
Hi, I'm Rick. I'm the head of the technology committee. The primary reason that services start late here at UUF. I would like to invite anyone who has an interest in joining the technology committee to join the fast-paced, exciting tech challenges that we face on Sunday mornings. Now, seriously, if you would like to learn how to help us run the services on Sunday, see me after the service.
And I'll do this as an announcement. I am grateful for technology, right? So every Sunday, we've got somebody sitting in the back. Today it is Rick and Justine. They are the reason we can Zoom for people who want to stay at home or for people who come back and watch it on YouTube at their pleasure. So grateful for the two of them. The other person that I think it's important that we acknowledge consistently is this little thing that you get every Sunday doesn't just happen. Emily Quarles-Maurer, every week, takes time to put this together to make sure we have it. So, as an announcement, it's an announcement of gratitude. So just want to let you know that, Rick.
She also puts the slides together.
And she puts this together. So that is the team, Emily and the technology team, that make our Sunday services happen these days. So anyway. With that, let us light our chalice. Do I have a volunteer who wants to light the chalice? Come on up. Today's reading is Different Yet United by Pat Uribe-Lichty. We come from many places, along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories and different realities, and yet we come together as one people, with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we might find others who are much like us and others who are much different. May our lit chalice remind us that we are a people taught by different stories with many voices, but always one people working for a world where love creates justice and justice gives birth to peace. So with that, I'm going to ask everybody to settle into Sunday service mode, which means if you have technology, if you could please turn it off. Put your focus here with us in the room, and our chimes will call us together. Okay, our opening words is Diverse Dreams Unbound by Lillian Njeri Mubati. In the realm of dreams, we spread our wings. Gender diverse persons, their voice sings. From identity to expression, their truth unfurled. Wings of freedom for a liberated world. In the face of prejudice, they rise above, with resilience as their shield and courage as their love. For every soul denied their right to be free, wings of freedom, where all are free. From acceptance to celebration, their journey unfolds, wings of freedom, where diversity molds. For in their truth lies beauty, in their spirit untamed, wings of freedom, where every soul is named. So let us fly together in unity's flight, wings of freedom, where darkness turns to light. In the sky of dreams, let us all unite, wings of freedom, taking flight. And if the gods of technology are with us, we will do our opening hymn, which is 1053, How Could Anyone? That deserves a shout out to the technology people. And now we have a top story for all ages.
I invite the children to come up and join me for a story. I have Max here, so you can sit on. I know the middle schoolers are a little too cool for this. They can still hear.
Morning. So Linda asked me to choose a story on equity, which is a difficult subject to find children's books on sometimes. When you look up stories on equity, you usually get books that are on some sort of like a DEI list, so like diversity, equity, and inclusion. And 99% of those books are about diversity and inclusion, which I think that today we will also be talking about. But this is one of my favorite stories, and you might be familiar with it because it's fairly popular in schools. It's called Sophia Valdez, Future Prez. You guys heard this one? Oh, fantastic. Okay. So this is a story about a community where everyone needs something a little different. They come together to make it happen. So, Sophia Valdez, Future Prez. Sophia was a baby who got things done, helping her family before she turned 1. She and Abuela went out every week to help elderly friends around Blue River Creek, who couldn't get out and about on their own, and with no place to gather, were stuck home alone. Raking the leaves, taking pets for a walk, or just dropping by for a treat and a talk, Sophia Valdez did as much as she could for her family and friends and her whole neighborhood. A dreamer, a doer, a real-life go-getter. Most people like good, but Sophia liked better. No. Cyrus, can you come hold the mic for me? Turn the book around for this one. Each morning, Abuela walked Sophie to class. They walked home again along Blue River Pass, making plans, munching cookies, Abuelo and girl. Except for that Tuesday when Pup saw the squirrel. With a howl, Pup took off, racing all through the town, over, under, beneath, and around. Sophia scrambled to try to keep up with the hollering man and the bellowing Pup. Up the squirrel ran to the top of a hill made of leftover junk for the local landfill. They reached the tip top of that mountain of trash, which jiggled and broke with an ear-splitting crash. Down they all tumbled and hit with a thud on a moldy old pumpkin surrounded by mud. Ouch, cried Abuelo. He struggled to stand. Dangerous mess, he said, grasping her hand. The next day, Sophia walked to school solo, but it wasn't the same without her abuelo. This is not right, declared young Sophia, who glared at Mount Trashmore and got an idea. The very next morning at 6:30 dawn, she planted a sign at the front of the lawn. She stood back and smiled, and Pup gave a bark. Get rid of Mount Trashmore. Let's build a new park. Each of her neighbors had something to say about benches and fountains and places to play, meeting spots, gardens, a basket for bees, a rubber duck pond, and a kiosk for cheese. She drew every thought on her map of the park, which was perfectly perfect by 6:45. She drifted to sleep in her soft, cozy bed. Then bam, she woke up when a thought smacked her head. Her heart skipped a beat as she realized each one of her neighbors had said, "Let me know when it's done." They all thought Sophia could build it alone. But how could one girl do so much on her own? The weight of that thought made her tender heart ache as night thunder growled and she lay wide awake. Then dawn brought a storm and the gloomy sky wept, and the heartsick Sophia finally slept. Abuelo baked cookies when Sophie got up. He gave her a bag full and sneaked one to Pup. He blinked back a tear as he hugged his Sophia. For courage, he whispered, te amo, mi vida. Sophia's knees wobbled. She felt weak inside. She looked at his ankle and quite nearly cried. Though she didn't feel brave or courageous at all, Sophia Valdez went to face City Hall. I love this picture. Do you see how tiny Sophia looks? Do you think she's scared? Do you think she might be scared? This is very important. The mayor's office sent her to room 401, the Blue River Creek Department of Fun, which sent her downstairs to room 302, the office of duck ponds and cool things to do. To the office of monkeys, the department of cheese, the divisions of fountains and meetings and bees. Then down to the basement so musty and cramped, where all the town's papers were sorted and stamped, and that's where the clerk said what no one else did. You can't build a new park. You're only a kid. The words smacked Sophia deep down in her heart. Her plan was kiboshed before it could start. I think, said Sophia, I think that law's wrong. But her second grade voice didn't sound very strong. The clerk said, clearly it cannot be done. Do you have any questions? Sophia said, 1, if you were me, and if I was you, and he was your grandpa, what would you do? Well, said the clerk. Then she said nothing at all. She thought and she thought, then she sent out a call to every employee throughout City Hall. The entire government of Blue River Creek crammed into the office to hear Sophie speak, but her words jumbled up and her cheeks turned bright red as a dozen emotions rushed into her head. Her heart beat so loudly she thought it would crack. The crowd leaned in closer. Sophia leaned back. Then her arm brushed the edge of the old cookie sack. And that was the moment when Sophia first knew being brave means doing the thing you must do, though your heart cracks with fear, though you're just in grade 2. She took a deep breath, looked the mayor in the eye, and though her knees wobbled, she held her head high. Sophia started talking. She spelled out her plan and why it all mattered, and how it began. And once she got rolling, she had lots to say about meeting spots, monkeys, and places to play, and other ideas for things they could do to help the town elders and other folks too. She had thoughts on the library, thoughts on the zoo, and perhaps a way to combine the two. Can you imagine a library with a zoo? Sounds awesome, actually. All right, cried the mayor, go start a petition. If the town wants a new park, we'll form a commission. So young Sophia got right to work with some help from her family and Pup and the clerk. Then others joined in, not all, but a few, like Miss Lila Greer and the kids in grade 2. There were hearings and surveys and taxes to figure, then bulldozers, cranes, and a blue bigger digger. They all built that park. That's how it got done, with the hard work of, by, and for everyone. But it began with the dream of one person, just one, who laced up her shoes and then led the way to help Blue River Creek get a new place to play. Now every evening till long after dark, the town comes together at Citizens Park. They all hold this truth to be self-evident, that Sophia Valdez could grow up to be president. Until then, Sophia, that real-life go-getter, helps Blue River Creek get better and better. The end. I love that in the end, everyone got exactly what they needed and what made them happy and was best for them. Okay, are you guys ready? We're gonna go with Miss Ruby today. Here she is. All right, let's pack up our rice. Thank you. Oh, yes.
I'll show you. And thank you, Valerie. And now is the time for our offertory. Kathy Clavin said that giving is not just about making a donation. It's about making a difference. Please help the UUFP continue to be a community where we continuously try to make a difference. Your financial support, no matter the amount, is greatly appreciated. And Kay Price will be playing a little music to make you feel generous. Thank you, that was lovely. Okay. Slide. So, being UU, right, and the shared value of equity. First, a bit about the genesis of today's service. Earlier in the year, the board had put out a survey and asked members and friends to complete it. One of the key takeaways from that survey was that everybody here wanted a little bit more about what does it mean to be a UU? What is Unitarian Universalism? What does that mean? I mean, we certainly every Sunday have some very interesting and thought-provoking conversations. But it was felt we were missing a little bit about, let's discuss about UUism. So, and in addition to that, at this year's General Assembly of the UUA, and for those who may be new and don't understand, that's the Unitarian Universalist Association, which is sort of the head overseer of all of the UUA congregations and fellowships. They changed their bylaws on Article 2, which actually we do because we are a living faith, right? There is in the bylaws that every 15 years we need to go back and relook at that and say, does it still hold true for today? This year's past General Assembly, they did change their Article 2 that defines us. And part of that was now creating what they call shared values. And you'll see that there's the symbol over there, the petal symbol. And I thought if we want to learn more about becoming UU, let's talk about what are now the shared values. And so what this is going to be is actually a series. So for the next couple of months, we are going to, the first Sunday of every month, talk about a different shared value. Second, who knows what Socratic teaching is? The Socratic method of teaching. Monica, you're saying yes.
I do.
Do you want to share what that is?
I think it's just like asking lots of questions and, yeah, it's always like questions with questions and questions.
It is the leader, or as I call it, the facilitator, is basically not here to spew at you the lesson. It is Socratic. It is let's ask open-ended questions. Let's learn from each other. Let's help you along the thought process. Because how many of you have sat and you remember your, whether it be high school or college classes, whenever the teacher was going like this at you, you're like, you know, doodling. But when they engaged you, and they engaged you because it was questions and you had to think, that was a much better way to learn something. And the other thing is really, I am not an authority on any of these values. And I am going to also posit that the UUA is not an authority on any of these values. And in fact, when I was preparing for this, you Google equity, holy cannoli, right? Like Valerie said, you know, there's no book on equity. Well, I got news for you. There's no cheat sheet, Reader's Digest version. I don't care if it's AI putting it together. Easy thing on equity. So what I'm hoping is that we learn from each other. I believe there is a wealth of wisdom in this room that we can talk about what does this value mean to us as individuals and to us as a fellowship. And what I hope is that you walk away with some things new to think about, maybe some new actions to go, oh, I never thought about it that way. So that's sort of what this today is going to be about. So that's my spew. Now I'm just going to get into asking questions. And it's a good thing that the roving mic is good. So my first question is, are all men created equal?
People in what way though? Like people work that, but because no, we're all extremely different. But equal in the sense that we are all valued independent beings, yes.
Yeah. That is the key. You can sit and look around the room and you go, am I equal? You know, in kind of the general terms of saying, am I the same as that person? No, we are all different. That's where it gets ugly. Because as Valerie said, how do you define it? What am I looking for equal? The other thing that I want to point out up there is they chose the word equity. Anybody know or have a thought on the difference between equality and equity? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Hi, my name is Jessica.
I just,
I'm gonna pass the mic around because we have people who are watching us online. And if they can't hear you, they can see that, they can see Linda, but they can't hear your voice. So I'm gonna try to run around you with the mic.
Hi everyone, my name is Jess. I'm new. Nice to meet everybody. I'm a teacher, I teach high school. And so when I think about equity versus equality, I think about giving everybody what they need, not giving everybody the same thing, because everybody doesn't need the same thing. They need what they need. So that's a difference for me.
yeah. Anybody want to add on to that?
Yeah, just basically I was gonna say the same thing. I was a full-time teacher before my kids were born, and I'm a substitute teacher now, and there's a popular sort of teaching exercise these days about teaching equality versus equity with like Band-Aids. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Where the teacher lets every kid sort of invent an injury, and like the first kid might have like a scraped knee. So she's like, okay, you get a Band-Aid on your knee. And then every other kid, like no matter what they have, a headache, Band-Aid on the knee. Like, you know, sprained my wrist, Band-Aid on the knee. And at the end, she's like, well, was that fair? And the kids are like, well, obviously no. And she's like, yeah, but everyone got the exact same thing. So that's, you know, the little 5-minute like teaching lesson for kids on the difference between equity and equality. I know that it's a really common criticism of public school that it's like this one size fits all model and it's very institutional, but I don't think that's true anymore. There are so many ways that our kids' needs are being met in a variety of ways. I think the elementary school where my kids go has at least as many like specialists and intervention coaches and everything as classroom teachers.
Yeah, and I think the key takeaway is that it is not a one size fits all approach, right? And equality almost, and believe me, I did a lot of kind of research, it almost seems like equality is an ideal, right? Not quite sure we can get there, but the way you get there is through equity, right? So something near and dear to my heart is gender equality, right? Which to me I define as same pay, being able to do the same thing. But to get to gender equality, there needs to be equity, which means to say that when I was back in the corporate world, right, I didn't have female role models. That wasn't very accepting to my lifestyle as a female who may have had kids, who is a working mom, right? So it's what do we do to help that person so that we can achieve equality, that they can do the same jobs. That clear as mud, or do people kind of, y'all understand that, right? Okay. So our shared value, equity, we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. Pretty bold statement. Them's fighting words, right? Anyone have thoughts on that? What does it mean to you? What strikes in your heart, what resonates, what doesn't resonate?
I think for people who walk in our doors, it means what we stand for, that no matter who you are, what we look at you as being, we've had some people come here kind of shabby. We've had people come in here of different colors, they may have a little bit of an odor, and on and on. I think it means that we still don't judge them, that we open our arms to them, accept differences amongst them and each other, to grow ourselves as people by learning. I've learned over the years in many facets of life as a physician that you can't judge a person by the book, and if I do that, I compromise my value as a medical caregiver as well as a person in terms of providing the care I need to provide for that person. And so it is with people walking our door, that if they walk in and we judge them, we distort our value as a loving and caring community.
So what's, maybe what I was gonna take out of that, and it's interesting because John, you did it, right, is, okay, it's a statement, we declare. But John, how you explained that was through actions, right? Which is all of our new shared values have we covenant, and the we covenant are the actions in terms of how we demonstrate that. So the covenant says we covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. So what are the qualities of a fully accessible and inclusive community? And John sort of started to allude to that. Miranda.
Starting with physical, accessibility, physical accessibility,
Okay,
a start.
right, so people with disabilities or mobility-ish challenges feel welcome and included. Same thing with the restrooms, right?
Financially, like, some people can't give a lot of money to the church, but they can provide services like they clean the church, or
They'll help out in the kitchen, or they'll provide food every week, so it's like giving yourself of service, not just like your financial service, that we all do what we can.
And maybe this is for, and I'll ask everybody, when you were new into the fellowship, right? And for those who are coming back, you kind of felt included, right? Because if you didn't feel included, you wouldn't have come back. So what made you feel included? And Mary, you're shaking your hand. Share your story, Mary.
Well, when I first walked through these doors, and this was March of 1999, can't believe it's been that long, but anyway, I came over here and I came for about a month. And basically that first day I was introduced around, went to coffee hour, talked to a few people, and then it was like, well, nobody's talking to me now. And obviously I just stopped going. And the woman who was in charge of the membership committee noticed and called me. I said, yeah, y'all are friendly. You are not nice. Nobody's talking to me. Nobody's expressed any interest whatsoever.
So what would that look like?
What? Oh, it was just, well, I'd sit at.
No, so to correct it, right? So you said nobody talked to you.
So what happened, she said, come back next Sunday. And so she introduced me, she said, this is Mary, she was here before. And she doesn't think we're very nice. She flat out said, and they're like, oh my God. And that started the ball rolling and saying, oh, we're sorry. And there has been a change, I think. There are a few people, let's see, who was here, Alan. Alan. Alan is.
Alan changed?
Alan is the only person that was within the fellowship at the time when I first came in. But I've noticed there is a change over that time, where we are much more open and inclusive and talking to people.
So,
And so there was a definite change when they got called on it.
John,
So, let me talk about the antithesis of how we function. As some of you know, I'm one of the ex-Jewish people, raised in the Jewish tradition and raised throughout childhood and went to temple routinely. So it wasn't like I had, Judaism light. But when I went off to college, it kind of went away for a variety of reasons, which I've explained to other people. But one of the reasons is that you had to be kind of an insider. And when I came to Reading to join, actually in Kingston, New York first, and then down here, when I joined temples, there was more interest in money, I guess, but people never reached out to me, ever. And I was part of Kasher Zion and Ohab Shalom at different times in Reading, and I basically gave it up because no one really cared. No one talked to me, no one attempted to greet me in a warm way. I was just a body in a seat, and maybe a membership fee being paid, but I never felt any other connection. So I'm going to give you the antithesis of where I was from, and in a sense, why I'm here in this fellowship at this time.
okay.
I think inclusion in a spiritual sense was really what got me when I came here. I grew up a Lutheran and never could I ever admit to anyone in the church or even my family that I did not believe in God. And when when we had our, we have like a UU 101. And we go around and we talk about what we believe, what our spiritual life has been. I just burst out crying because the first time you come out of the closet. So I was accepted for what I believed. And that's giant. I mean, you can believe whatever as long as you abide by our principles. And our principles are clear. And that's what really I felt included and accepted.
Diane, are you gonna say something?
I have two things. The first, when I walked into this church for the first time, I was bombarded by two of the sweetest women I've ever met. And it was all about what do you do? Do you cook? No, I don't cook. Do you garden? No, I don't garden.
Do you sing?
Do you sing? Yeah, I like to sing.
Do you
We're in the
yeah.
choir. So my shortcomings, the things that I don't do, were okay. They found the thing that I do. The fact that I can't read music, I can't read well at all because of my vision, just meant that Carly got to help me extra in making sure I learned my parts. The other thing was, yes, I am a witch and I don't have to pretend to be otherwise here. I get to be me and I get to talk openly about what I believe. And I'm respected. And nobody runs screaming in the other direction. And that is incredibly important to me. That I was able to find community, not of necessarily like-minded people in that you believe the same thing that I do. But we have the same principles and the same commitment. And that was everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I realized after coming here, looking at the covenant about time, wisdom, attention, and money to build. When I first read it, I thought, oh, that wants to start building housing. But what I've come to find out here is when you build accessible and inclusive communities, the things that we do to contribute to that are what's, I think is what this covenant means. It doesn't mean, of course, there is some building around here that goes on from time to time, but that we all, as a fellowship, in our own way, we build that. I mean, yes, people give money, and I look at the community vegetable garden that we grow things in and give to the cluster. Miranda does the donations that go there. We just did the backpack drive, those kinds of things. So it's not so much, in my mind, a physical building as it is doing things in regards to how do we make things better for people. One of the things that was, I think it was in the Sojourner, the lab, not this one, but the one before, talking about social justice, and that social justice isn't necessarily going and protesting and marching. Social justice is the things that we do. We do it for this fellowship, and we do it for people outside the fellowship. We don't really say, oh, we're not giving to you because this is what you say or this is what you do. We're doing things because I don't know, like the right thing to do, but it's part of this equity in that we try to give everyone, as best we can, some kind of level playing field.
Okay. The other thing that I want to add to this, and let me back up a little bit. As I was putting together the order of how we're going to do the values, I've got equity first, and then in November we'll do transformation. And the reason I did this, and the conversation has been great about our community here within the UUFP. Each of us is part of another community outside of the UUFP, whatever that is. And with the crazy times that the world is living in, it is it's almost like we walk through these doors and all of a sudden our better selves emerge, right? It's easy for us to be in, demonstrate equity and covenant and do all of that stuff. I'm going to challenge people, and I'm not sure the answer is here, but to think about how do we go back out into our other communities, right? Because that's us as individual UUs. What else can we take forward such that we continue to covenant to deliver on the shared value of equity? So that's something for people to ponder. So as we've talked about all of this, right, and we talk about that they're actions, right? What are the actions that we take? There are some skills that you need to have in order to be facile at doing this. Anybody can think of whatever those skills might be? And think about when you didn't feel included or when you felt included. What did that other person do? Because that's an action, and that's probably a skill. Kay, you had your hand up.
Listening, actually listening to people.
Absolutely, right? People just want to be heard. Do you hear me? It's kind of the Tommy, I'm gonna date myself, the Tommy the rock opera. Does that mean anything to anybody? Tommy, can you hear me? People want to be heard. And I'll go back to, right? So I'll bring it back to our community. New people walk into our doors. We get so excited. We love new people because we love this place, right? We love what it stands for. We love the community we've built. We want more people to be a part of it. And I used to be a district manager for salespeople. And you want to talk about energetic people, if they're go-getters? What I had to teach them was to shut up and listen, right? You can't sell somebody something if you don't know what they believe right now or why they walked in, right? So yeah, it's great. People come in, we're very excited, right? You feel included because people are asking about you. So what brought you in? And then you shut up. And if you're me, you have to sit on your hands. I talk with my hands. You listen, you let them speak, right? You find out what skills they're at, what do they want to do, right? And that's going to carry out again into our other communities, right? Are we listening, or did we hear something that got our dander up And our ears shut down and our brain is going, and now we're just waiting for a space to interject. I personally have been there. I'm trying not to be there. Right, so listening is a skill. What's another? And it kind of is a corollary to that. Anything else? Monica?
I think the ability to work through conflict is really important because
We're all gonna have moments where we offend someone by accident or, you know, there's something that goes on, but like being able to just say you're sorry for whatever you did or, you know, just work through conflict and for the betterment of like your community, I think is really important. And I really like that about our group, because I feel like when there are issues, we try to like say sorry and like work things out. I think it's so critical to have a healthy group move forward.
So that's kind of like communicating openly.
Yeah.
You're able to voice your opinion, you acknowledge your opinion may not be that of others, but you voice it and you accept the other person may have a different point of view. And if somebody says, you know, that really offends me, you apologize. Because I know most of you, I know that's not your intention to offend people. Sometimes we just get excited to have a dialogue. So, thank you. Anything else? Alan?
I didn't put my hearing aids, forgot them, so my listening skills are a little deficient. So anyway, well, this notion of equity, I want to bring up something that I think I heard you say. That in order that the ideal is equality, you want to treat everybody equally, independent of what treat people on what they do and what they say, not by what they look like, what their skin color is, and so forth. But you said that we can't get to equity, until we don't follow that ideal. Did you say that?
So my intention of what I was hoping to communicate was that equality is an ideal that
Right.
we may or may not attain.
Right.
The process to get there is equity, right? Is acknowledging that people are different and how do we need to treat them differently? And perhaps get them to a place, depending upon how we're gonna, what area we're looking for equality to get there. So I was just sort of saying it's an ideal we may never reach, but the process to try to get there, that doesn't mean we don't keep trying, is equity.
Okay,
Because we're acknowledging everybody's different.
yes, I think we have to acknowledge everybody's different, and that's true, you know, but I think when people think of equity, and I looked it up too, like you did actually this morning, it was, you know, recognizing that some people have more, they start with more advantages in life than others. And that we have to acknowledge that and work to make it so that everybody has an equal opportunity to flourish. And that sometimes means giving advantages to some people because we feel that they need those advantages relative to others. And I think we need to do that to some extent. But I think there's another value that needs to be, we need to have in mind, along with giving advantages to some who we feel need advantages. First of all, it's very hard to tell who really needs advantages relative to others, because everybody's different. And you can't tell by looking at them, their skin color, their where they came from, whether they're deserving of some advantage because they start out at a lower level. That's point one, so it's hard to tell. And the second thing is, I'm kind of old fashioned. I remember, you know, when Martin Luther King said, we judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And I think we have to balance that notion against the notion that some people deserve some advantage because they started out at a lower level. And that implies looking at somebody and saying, well, okay, you deserve an advantage and you don't need an advantage. And I think that we also have to recognize that the other side of that is to say that it would be unfair in a sense, because it's judging people by the color of their skin, not their content of their character. So there's a balance there between treating each other as an individual and treating each other based on our sense of their need because of their historic inequality.
Monica is raising her hand.
I think, I'll stand up. So for me, saying advantage is not what equity is about, because you're not giving people advantages. That's the wrong word to use, and this is just my opinion. My son is severely dyslexic. He's extremely intelligent, but extremely dyslexic. When he's in school and he's with the other kids, he has a teacher that comes and helps read his work to him. That's not an advantage. That's a tool that he's given, so he can sit in class and be with the other kids and get the education that he deserves, and is, you know, and that's what equity is. It's giving people tools so that way they can have that same chance that we were talking about, that same chance to do better. Another thing, I grew up extremely poor. I worked my ass off in school to get to where I am today, but I was able to get tools in school that helped me. I got free lunches that my parents didn't have to pay for, that helped me be able to have a full belly to get to classes so I could be smart and focus on school, and so I could go to college. That's not an advantage, that's a tool that's given to people. So I feel like saying it's an advantage is a little, that's not what equity is. There's a really great cartoon that I saw, and it's like a fence, and kids are looking at a baseball game, and there's one kid that's real tall. He gets to see the game, he can see over the fence, and then there's another kid that's on the bench that he can't see over the fence. Then there's another kid that's on the ground, he can't see. Equity is when everybody has a bench that's high enough so they can all see over that fence. That's a tool, it's not an advantage.
And liberation is
Removing the fence. Yes.
Right, dismantling like systemic barriers that get in the way of people's right to work. That's what real liberation is, right? We're dismantling systems.
Just teaching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rarely
Yeah.
say anything here, but I feel like equity means kind of dismantling advantages that other people get. There's this one video where a coach stands at the finish line, and then there's a bunch of kids that stand at the start line, and then he says, everybody that had a father figure in a home, 2 step forward. Everybody that never had to worry about where their next meal was coming from, 2 steps forward. So these were advantages that the kids that take the steps forward had compared to the kids that didn't have it. And then he said, okay, now you race, and whoever comes in first gets $100 bill. So the kids that had all these advantages, obviously, you know, had a shorter race to run. So I feel like equity is kind of like dismantling these advantages and putting everybody at the same start line again.
Miranda.
So just
Yeah, let's not get too deep into the issue. We're really, just a comment tangentially as we're working with what's in this fellowship. We can't change the whole society.
Well, but again, I want you to take what we learn here out into society, into your communities.
So maybe just throw monkey wrench in and take us in a different direction just for a moment. One of the things that I see as valuable in our beloved community is a willingness in each person to recognize that this would be the equity, that each person is interested to recognize in the other person before opinions and judgments, the longing in each of us to connect with each other and with what's around us. And we can be sure that that is here, that equity. And if we can work at that, if we can begin at that, we head toward the ideal of, I suppose, equality or full equity. But if we can begin with the lack of judgment and the lack of opinion, the listening and mindful words, then I think we're ahead of the game.
Now I'm going to add to that the genuine curiosity to find out what tools they need, right? So if I go back to how we kind of started on this was what were the skills? One is asking questions, right? Genuinely listening, right? Shut up. If you're trying to understand what tools somebody needs, you let them speak, right? Actively, you're respectful, being respectful to those people. Recognizing their contributions, right? What have they already done, right? Wow, so you learn something new. Maybe there's something you see they need a tool for and you go, wow, look how far you've come without the tool. Look how far you can go if I give you the tool, right? Or I know you're struggling with that. There's a tool that can help you, right? But we don't find that out unless we ask questions. The other one is, again, before the judgment, as Miranda said, is being trustworthy, right? We're creating a trust bond to create inclusive and open community, right? Doesn't mean we all agree and think the same thing. But there's a trust that says, I trust your opinion. I trust your right to have that opinion. Because I believe you trust me and you trust my right to have that opinion. And we talked about communicating, recognizing people's contribution and communicating openly. So those are the skill sets, right? That as we think about, as we create and continue to create an open and inclusive community here, as you go out into your other communities, keep those skill sets in mind. And particularly when you find yourself in a situation, like I said, today, in today's environment, dare I say political environment, there are many times we are going to get our backs up. And we need to, people are entitled to vote for who they want to vote for, regardless. So I'm gonna give an example of where a situation that happened to me, where I think falls into equity. So, and this is outside the community. No surprise, Linda's little, guilty pleasure. She likes to get her nails done. Okay. There's a place in Pottstown owned by a husband and wife. They are from Cambodia, right? They're born in Cambodia. They are now US citizens. The wife's name is on the shop, right? The wife was not there, the husband was there. He's working on my nails and they have fascinating stories, He has a very heavy accent. And let me preface this by saying he speaks English far better than I speak Cambodian. I mean, it's just, so let me just put that there. So we're talking, and I don't know how it came up, but starts talking about the election. And he said, America needs, I don't like either candidate, America needs a strong leader. Right? Okay. I can feel the fur on my back, just saying. Because I'm like, what do you mean? Kamala's not a strong leader. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. She's just not strong, right? And I'm ready to say something, right? I'm sort of, and maybe it was because they had sharp instruments around my cubicles. I don't know. But I sat there and what I realized, and to cut to the chase, how the conversation evolved was he is a US citizen, he has voted, he's registered. He goes, you don't understand, and I actually had somebody else who's from Venezuela say the exact same thing to me. You don't understand how the world views the United States. You are an ideal. We want to see a strong leader. And I'm looking at, and I gotta admit, you look at what, our Congress is doing, and some of them are, okay, I kind of get where you're coming from. I also had to sit there and go, he is from a very patriarchal society. He was born and raised, men are in charge. I think it would have been a different conversation, his wife had been there, but she wasn't. And because I kept my mouth shut, and because I had to listen harder, and I would clarify, like he'd say something, I'm like, do you mean this? He's no, right? Because he doesn't have a facile use of the English language. He finally got to the part where he's like, oh, I'm gonna vote for her, but I think America can do better. And I sat there and I went, you know what? We can agree to disagree on that, right? And we had a conversation. And it was because I shut up, I actively listened, and I was forced to, right, because of the accent. I clarified, I asked more questions. And that's what, if we go for it, and that's really what I hope to leave you with, is as we look at this shared value, you look at the skill sets that you can take forward into conversations and actions within this community and outside of the community, that you are living the shared value of equity. Any other comments? It's that class where I bored you all to tears. So again, I appreciate everybody's participation. I do hope that you walk away with some additional thoughts and actions pertaining to equity that you can put forward in the week and moving on. So let's go into the final hymn, which is We Are. And that is hymn number 1051.
For each child that's born, the mornings.
Thank you.
Rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
now is the time in our service for joys and concerns and opportunities, matters of personal. We are. We are. We are. So I invite you to come forward and please tell us your name. We can recite the words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And the closing words are from Langston Hughes. I dream a world where man, no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its paths adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blights our day. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth, and every man is free. Where wretchedness will hang its head, and joy, like a pearl, attends the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream, my world. So thank you all very much. I believe there's lots of food, and if anybody has to pack school lunches, there's lunch meats and veggies and cookies, so take it. Thank you all.